back. This is Moses from MGTOW Mafia. Welcome to our brand new channel. And if you haven't already clicked the subscribe and like button, please do so early right now. You're in for a treat. Today we're going to talk about how President Donald J. Trump referenced Haiti as a shithole. I have to tell you, I really apologize. I have some bad news. First of all, there's no such thing as Santa Claus, no such thing as the Easter Bunny, no such thing as the Tooth Fairy, or a pretty little island where there is law and order and cleanliness called Haiti.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
The most honest leader on the face of the earth is President Trump. For those liberals and feminists who don't understand what he meant, let me try to break it down to you. Once again, our president referenced Haiti as being a shithole. Now, if you have any money, I would recommend put it all down on a large bet that Haiti is in fact indeed a shithole. Let me break it down and explain to you. As many of you already know, liberals and feminists tend to create their own meanings of words that already exist. So let's look up the word shithole and see what it means. Our first definition of shithole comes from Wiktionary. It says, a hole in which one defecates, the anus an unpleasant person, shit pit, dirty or unpleasant place. Dictionary.com defines shithole as being an unpleasant place, a term used in the 1960s. The freedictionary.com defines shithole as being an informal taboo, a very bad place, comma, a disgusting place. Now that you're armed with the definitions of what shithole means, we can investigate and find out the truth. I'd like to read you this article by the National Public Radio, Inc. back in July of 2017 by an author named Rebecca Hersher. She did a little report about Haiti's sewage system. Let me read it. A city without a system, Port-au-Prince, Haiti, is one of the largest cities in the world without a central sewage system. There are no sewers connecting sinks, showers, and toilets to hulking wastewater treatment plants. Most of the more than 3 million people in the metro area use outhouses, and much of that waste ends up in canals, ditches, and other unsanitary dumping grounds where it can contaminate drinking water and spread disease. Without a sewage system to divert waste out of clogged canals, the Good Friday rainstorm filled the streets and alleys of Project Drouillard with 3 feet of raw sewage. 7 people drowned in the canal. Jean-Claude Drouillard got an infection that still hasn't gone away. Residents blame the flood on poorly excavated canals and on the waste dumped by rich people who live on higher ground. Both are undoubtedly true, but the waste clogging the canal also came from the right there in the Project Drouillard. Scattered throughout the neighborhood are sets of cinder block pit latrines, most of which are filled up to the top with waste. We can't use these, says 27-year-old Bernard Polimon, gesturing to a set of 6 stalls near the headquarters of his neighborhood group, Foundation Alovi. The people here, they can't pay. He's referring to the cost of maintenance, and when the latrine fills up, residents see 2 options. They can padlock it and leave it, at which point some people resort to relieving themselves in an open field near the canal. Port-au-Prince, Haiti is a city of more than 3 million people with no sewer system. International donors have spent millions of dollars on infrastructure meant to help the situation, but a multi-year plan to build sewage treatment plants all over the country has stalled, and the residents say things are getting worse. The zinc roof buildings here are tightly packed along the canal where people throw trash and plastic bags full of human waste. There's an outhouse for every 10 to 20 homes. Around the corner is about a foot of hardened mud inside a row of abandoned houses. Gabriel Montrell says he's lived here his whole life. He says every time it rains, raw sewage floods his home. It's scary. Among other dangers, there's a cholera epidemic in Haiti, and the floods are getting worse. The first time it was a 1 foot high. Then it came back. It was 2 feet. And at this time it was 3 feet. As an adult, I need to save the lives of my children. The family slept on the street for a night and then came back to clean up. Montreux blames the floods on sewage and trash clogging canals that run through Project D. You could smell them. One of Gabrielle's neighbors, who goes by the name of Calypso, takes me over to see the nearest canal. Is there human waste in here? Everything goes in the canal. Trash and sewage often travel together in Haiti. Remember, most people aren't using toilets. They are using pit latrines and throwing other stuff in there too. But the treatment plan is only designed to handle human waste. I must really apologize to you. I am so sorry. But you know what? The liberals are saying,
but what about the people? They're so nice.
President Trump never said one bad thing about the people of Haiti. But let's go to the OSAC.gov and review the Crime and Safety Report. It says here, the U.S. Department of State has assessed Port-au-Prince as being a critical threat location for crime directed at or affecting official U.S. government interests. Haiti is unique in the Caribbean for its relative lack of tourism, scarcity of foreign investment, and inferior infrastructure. Crime threats. Crime statistics are woefully underreported by Haitian National Police, and reports indicating that Haiti is statistically safer than other countries in the Caribbean are inaccurate. Traditional tourist-oriented crimes, pickpocketing, purse snatching, are less frequently reported than elsewhere in the region. This results from both of a lack of tourism and underreporting. The most frequently reported crimes against U.S. citizens in Port-au-Prince are aggravated assault and robberies. A typical mugging in Port-au-Prince involves a group of young males who surround and overwhelm a victim in a public area. Reports of robberies of Haitian Americans appear to increase around the holiday seasons, but that appears to correlate with the overall increase in visitor traffic. Armed robberies against motorists and pedestrians remain a serious concern. In recent years, a number of people have been robbed en route to the airport. Continue to be a frequent location for armed robberies. Motorcycle-mounted assailants frequently follow their victims a short distance from a bank and rob them in a less public area. Shootings during these incidents are common. Vehicle break-ins and thefts from vehicles occupied or empty occur frequently. Unattended vehicles with visible valuables are subject to break-ins. There have also been reports of pedestrians opening up unlocked doors of idling vehicles and snatching valuables. Violent crime appears to remain predominantly gang-related or robbery-related. Robberies are most common in Port-au-Prince and affect affluent areas frequented by visitors. The gang-related violent crimes continue to be centralized in specific areas of Port-au-Prince, which are not traditional tourist business areas. Organized crime appears as small, organized, criminal gang activity, kidnapping gangs. Homicides continue to be a major concern in Haiti. In 2016, there were 1,029 reported homicides, with 70% occurring in Port-au-Prince. Residential theft, burglaries, home invasions, trends over the past few years have suggested a decline in traditional criminal burglary and a rise in home invasions. There was a continuation of home invasions in the more affluent areas of Upper Port-au-Prince in 2015 and 2016. The bulk occurred in middle-class neighborhoods. Assailants have little fear of resistance from residents and do not appear to consider whether a home is occupied when committing crimes. Criminals are not reluctant to use violence to get across a point when they're confronted. However, the vast majority will brandish a firearm or weapon. They'll fire it randomly. They'll tie up their victim. They will abscond with currency or a vehicle. Neither violent or passive criminal overly concerned with police response, as they know none will be dispatched quickly. There were 36 reported kidnappings in 2016, 43 in 2015. The first and fourth quarters in 2016 saw a spike in the number of kidnappings, likely due to the pending national elections and the struggling economy. Most kidnappings are criminal. Victims can vary in race, gender, and age, but all those who are perceived to have wealth or family with assets in Haiti or abroad are vulnerable. U.S. citizens who are kidnapped are usually of Haitian descent, and the breakdown of reported kidnapping victims from the last few years is spread fairly evenly among men, women, and children. Most cases were resolved through the payment of ransom, and some kidnappings did include physical and sexual assaults, while less frequent, depending on the motive, gang, and knowledge of the kidnappers by the victim, a few incidents resulted in the deaths of the victims. Many roads outside of the main cities are either topped with gravel or they are poorly maintained dirt roads. Driving requires extreme caution, particularly in the evening. Road safety remains a significant threat to the average visitor. Travel at night outside the main cities is ill-advised due to poor lighting and unpredictable road conditions that may result in an increased risk of not seeing pedestrians, broken down vehicles, and oncoming traffic. Vehicles, including large buses and trucks, are known to travel at high rates of speed, especially on provincial roads. In rural mountainous areas, drivers should expect no guardrails, few traffic signs and road markings, and little or no road lighting. Drivers should use caution when driving around bends, as it is common for vehicles coming from other directions to pass slower vehicles or vehicles drive to the middle of the road. People traveling outside Port-au-Prince should also do so during daylight hours and in the tandem due to the security situation and road conditions. Armed robberies are not uncommon in urban areas. However, they are less common in the countrysides. Accidents can draw angry, potentially violent crowds very quickly. If a mob forms, proceed directly to a safe place, police station, to resolve the situation. Remaining at the scene could be a risk to one's safety. Citizens should take special care to ensure that they do not become stranded in remote regions or enter certain areas deemed unsafe. In the case of vehicular robbery, smash and grabs and carjacking, a group of street criminals hidden in the grass or the ditches often wait for vehicles to stop in the traffic or at traffic lights. They rush the vehicles. They attempt to open the vehicle doors. If all doors are locked and the driver fails to take immediate action, the group will attempt to break a window or access the vehicle and gain control violently. Occurrences of these incidents increase at night and occur frequently in heavy and midday traffic. The road from Port-au-Prince International Airport is particularly targeted. Travelers arriving at the airport should refrain from taking public transportation, safeguard their belongings, and remain alert after departing the airport. The U.S. Department of State has assessed Port-au-Prince as being a critical threat location for political violence directed at or affecting official U.S. government interests. The legislative and presidential elections and their associated security problems, increasing gang-related violent crime, political violence, and kidnapping, continued to be a key security concern. A number of small-scale incidents of unrest and political violence tied to Haiti's scheduled elections occurred in 2016. This unrest was motivated by a variety of political and social movements, ranging from the Haitian political situation, minimum wage concerns, school curriculum, and to the presence of the UN forces. They share a common trend in that the protesters are quick to barricade streets, regularly stone the windows of the passing vehicles. Travelers are reminded of the potential for spontaneous protests and public demonstrations. Any demonstration is capable of turning violent. The bystanders and travelers can be caught up in the clash between demonstrators and the HNP, rock throwing, tire burning, and roadblocks. Travelers are advised to avoid all demonstrations and be prepared to seek an alternative route. So if you're a tourist and you're lucky enough not to get killed and you've only been robbed and injured, now you have to deal with the shithole medical system. The lack of top quality, reliable health care is a serious concern. Prescription pharmaceutical drugs are in short supply and specialty care is extremely limited. Medical services are far below the U.S. standards and can be difficult to obtain. Emergency medical care is not always readily available, as most hospitals do not have an emergency department staffed 24 hours a day. Healthcare providers do not accept U.S. medical insurance. Professionals require a cash payment up front. Medical evacuation is required for most major medical care. It is strongly advised that those visiting Port-au-Prince obtain a medical evacuation insurance. Well, guys, thanks for viewing this video this far. And now you see what a true shithole Haiti truly is. You could only imagine what El Salvador is. So for now, this is Moses from MGTOW Mafia. I want to say so long for now. Thank you. Please hit the like button and subscribe. Bye-bye now.